Hello, good evening, everyone. Happy Vesak Day. Happy Sunday. Yep. As you can see, we have a very special guest with us tonight. And she's none other than our dear financial Missy.
Hello, hey guys.
Hello. Yep. So I've specially invited her today. I think some of you might have seen her before because she has also appeared on Tuesdays, some Tuesdays on this Facebook group as well. Yep. So today we are very honored and privileged to have her with us to share with us on her views on the recent events, right, the recent spate of events this particular week. Yep. So as you all know, right, this week was a very eventful week for crypto. Right. In fact, there was a very big hoo-ha in the whole cryptocurrency world. Right. Cryptocurrency actually just staged a major collapse. Right. As what a lot of news article has mentioned. Right. It has actually collapsed quite a fair bit for this week. Right. So some of you might be interested to know what's next with this development. And is this actually going to be the end of cryptocurrency, right? Should we start to sell all our crypto holdings, and go into other instruments, right? Or is this actually an opportunity, right, for us, right, to actually scale into more cryptocurrency, right? So today we'll be delving into more of this, right? So stay with us, and I hope this will be a very meaningful time for all of you, right? So once again, right, if you are here live with me, right, don't forget to give this video a like, right, so that I know that you are here live with us, right? Let's give it a thumbs up, right, and let's begin the session. Right. So for those of you who are, joining me for the very first time, yep, please bear with me, right? For those of you who've been joining me for a very long time, this is what I think you have heard me introduce myself time and again. So do bear with me as I go through my brief introduction about myself. So I'm the trade engineer, right? TTE for short. I have 6 to 7 years of trading experience, right? And I've traded numerous instruments, right, including stocks, futures, forex, and cryptocurrency. And I've helped numerous aspiring traders unlock their best trade and unleash the trading potential within them. This is just some simple yet effective techniques. And before I start the session proper, just a few disclaimers down here, right? I would like to ensure the accuracy of information as far as possible, but there will be no responsibility taken for any loss or inconvenience created by any omission or error. The ideas presented here are just for reference and educational purposes only, and the presentation tonight is not intended in any way to give trading advice or recommendations, right, to buy or sell any cryptocurrency coin. And me, the trade engineer, shall not have any liability, right, whatsoever. And last but all, copyrights reserved. So let's quickly begin the session proper, right? So that's, the whole topic today is on that crypto collapse, right, for this particular week, right? So this was making the headlines, for this entire week. And let's, look at some recent some news, right, surrounding this, so to give some background and give a backdrop, right, of this particular phenomenon, right, this week. So as you can see, right, this week was very spectacular week, right? In fact, if you look at Bitcoin, right, this is the chart of Bitcoin, right? It has fallen quite spectacularly, right? It was trading, at one point about 65,000, right? And now it has, dropped down to 26,000, right? That is a lot lower, right? And in fact, last week it was recording quite a big record losses, right? So this is quite phenomenal, and let's go into the further details of this. Right, so this is taken from Reuters, right? Reuters.com, right? And this all precipitated, right, as a result, right, of this particular stable coin, right, Tether, right? Or it actually actually there's this meltdown of this TerraUSD, which also affected Tether, right? So TerraUSD, right, otherwise known as UST, right, it is one of the world's largest stablecoin, right? And it actually melted down, right, last week. right? It actually fell below the 1-to-1 ratio with the US dollar, right? And this actually had huge implications in the whole crypto market, right? It pushed the other stable coin, right, Tether, USDT, right, below its dollar peg, and also sent Bitcoin right down to its 16-month low, right? So this has been coming quite with the whole sell off in risk assets, right? On the backdrop of the high inflation in US, right? The stock market was also selling off for quite a fair bit, right, in the US. There was this whole instance of the Fed tightening, the central bank, right? So that also led to interest rate hike, right? The fear of interest rate hike, and I've covered that in quite a bit of detail, right, in my past few sessions, right? So as I mentioned in the past few videos, right, there is some correlation, right, between the US stocks as well as cryptocurrency, right, more so than ever, especially in recent times, right? It used to be not so correlated, but nowadays, right, it is drawing quite a fair bit of correlation, right? And then you have to watch out for, right? Because there might not be any form of risk diversification, right? In that case, right? So that sell off, right, this week, actually dropped the combined market value of all cryptocurrency, right, to only 1.2 trillion, right? And this actually less than half of where it was last November. In fact, right, the Tether, right, the USDT actually dropped to as low as 95 cents, right? So it used to be, always close to one, right, or 1-to-1 ratio, right, to the US dollar, but it also dropped, right, to 95 cents. Right, but with all this backdrop, right, even the U.S. Treasury Secretary, right, also came in to talk about this, right, and she mentioned, right, that stable coins like Tether and TerraUSD, all these do not yet pose a systemic risk to the financial system, right? So that's good, right? But it is something to watch out for, right? You see that there is some cryptocurrency risk in that sense. Right. So what she said, right, is that all these cryptocurrency is growing very rapidly, right? But they present the same kind of risk we have known for centuries in connection to bank runs, right? So she is alluding that cryptocurrency, the risk of cryptocurrency could also be similar to that of a bank run, right? And if you see, look at the Bitcoin level, where the Bitcoin price, actually dropped the low of 25,400, right? And that was the lowest level since 2020, right? That's quite some time ago. Now it's 2022, so it is he hit a pretty low level, right? So there's something we want to examine later on as well to see, whether this is indeed the bottom of Bitcoin or is there potential to go down further. Right. So continuing on, right, the same article, right? So basically, right, you can see that the selling pressure, right, in this in recent times, right, in this particular week, right, they undermine, right, the argument that they're dependable stores of value amid market volatility, right. So in the past, right, cryptocurrency used to be unaffected by the stock market, right, unaffected by market volatility. You can see the stock market movements do not really correlate with the cryptocurrency movement, right? But nowadays, you can see there is an increasing correlation, right? So as you all know, right, the UST, right, actually was hit pretty badly, right, last week, right, and it actually broke its peg to the US dollar, right. So it hit as low as 31 cents, right? In fact, it actually went down a lot lower after that, right? You can see the associated sister currency, right, Luna, right, has also dropped to close to zero, right? It's like 0.000, there's many zeros after that. So and it used to be, Luna used to be trading at more than $100, right? So there's a very spectacular drop, right, with this particular development. Right. So this depegging, right, of TerraUSD, right, actually resulted in a might result in a substantial regulatory risk, right? And this has a lot of implications, right? Not just for this particular coin, right, but for the whole cryptocurrency cryptocurrency space, right? And including, right, all these so-called stable coins, right? So, stable coins, right, before that, there are people I think, oh, stable coins are very stable, right? As what it implies, right? So that is, there shouldn't be any fluctuation, there shouldn't be any movement, right? Because it is pegged to typical values of, traditional assets, right? But this TerraUSD is a bit different, right? It is a so-called algorithmic, right, or decentralized stablecoin, right? So it has, it is, pegged through this complex mechanism, right, that involves swapping it with another free floating token, right, and that is the Luna token, right, the Luna coin. So so even other stable coins, right, as what I mentioned, as USDT, right, they actually also sleep, right, as a result, right? No, USDT is actually backed by traditional assets, right? But because of this, of Terra USD, right, it's also dropped as well, right? So actually, right, the USDT chief technology officer also had, came in to talk about this, right, about this own stable coin, and he mentioned that this stable coin had actually reduced exposure in to commercial paper, right? Over the last 6 months, it now holds the majority of the reserves in the U.S. Treasuries, right? So it's backed by U.S. Treasuries, right? So that is something that it seems that pretty stable, right? Um, and Tether is actually the largest stable coin, right? As we all know, right? USDT is the largest stable coin, right? And the fact that it also lost its peg, like a bit slightly, right? That is also something of a concern, right? So it doesn't seem like stable coins are that stable after all, right? So there is a large number of centralized cryptocurrency exchanges and decentralized venues, right? There is a very large number, and all these, come with their own liquidity profile and credit risk, right? And all these can add, price distortions across the market, right? And this is according to one of those analysts or here research, right, in some digital asset management, right? In fact, the Fed also came in and talked about this, and they said, as what I mentioned, right, it is, as what they alluded, right, it could be a bank run. Stable coins are vulnerable to investor runs, right? Primarily because, all these stable coins are backed by assets, right, that seems to be, stable, but they can also lose value, right? These assets can lose value, right, become illiquid in times of market stress, right? So these assets, it might not be seen as that stable, right? We do have to watch out as well, right? Stable coins might not be that stable, right? So that's one of the articles, right, from the Reuters, and there is another article here, right, that I'd like to share with all of you, right, on Seedly, right, and it is delving the more details, right, of this Terra USD, right, or UST, right. So this UST stablecoin, right, is no longer stable, right, according to what the article is mentioning, right. And you can see that it has lost, as what we saw last week, it has lost its peg pretty dramatically, right? So the whole sell-off actually was triggered when the UST was actually first depegged, right? And the depegging of UST and other macroeconomic factors, right, as what I mentioned, the Fed interest rate, the inflation rate, right, all these has a part to play to cause the crypto market to actually fall across the board. So for those of you, right, who are hearing this for the first time, what is this Terra USD, right? What is UST or right? So we did talk about brief detail just now in that article, right? But here delve into further details of this particular UST, right? So Terra is actually this public blockchain protocol, right? And it deploys a suite of algorithmic decentralized stable coins, right, which underpins a thriving ecosystem that brings DFI to the masses, right? And it is usually pegged to US dollar, like one UST to one US dollar. And how it is done, right? How it is maintained is basically as what we saw, right? It is basically through a swap with another token called Luna, right? And how it basically create and destroy supply through a swap of Luna. right? So how this works, right? So basically, if UST is trading above the peg of $1, right? Users can actually burn $1 worth of Luna to mint 1 USD, right? 1 UST. And you can sell the UST on the open market. So it would eventually equilibrate back to the peg level, right? And likewise, vice versa, right? If UST is trading below peg, right, users can then burn 1 UST, right, the other way around to redeem $1 worth of Luna, right? So we equilibrate the supply of UST and Luna, right? So eventually they will all maintain the dollar peg value, right? So this is what was envisioned then, right? But therein lies that problem, right? Because it is actually depending on users, right, to maintain that UST peg, right? And this is one of the pitfalls that actually caused it to actually fall so spectacularly, right? In fact, right, if we go back in time, right, there is another similar cryptocurrency, right? But it might not be very well known, right? I'm not sure if any of you have heard of Iron Finance, right? Which also use the Titan token, right, to maintain the iron peg. And these, actually also fell, right, very spectacularly, right? Just last year, right? Just last year on 16 June, right? 16 June, one day before, right? You're trading at $64 US dollar. And the next day, right, 17 June, it was almost zero, right? 0.0000105. So, this seems very eerily very familiar, right? If you look at the Luna price now, right? It also fell by this spectacular amount, right? And it just a short span of time as well, right? So so but at that time, right? They did counter that Terra, right? Won't suffer this kind of pitfall as compared to Iron Finance, right? Because it has a faster oracle, right? Or faster system in place, right? That allow the UST to quickly recover for any peg losses, and more significant use cases for Luna, right? So they thought that they are safe, right? They won't ever see this kind of scenario, but they were wrong. In fact, that happened this week, right? And at that time, right, before this whole week, this whole instance of this occurred, right, they also had another safety net, right? And that safety net, right, was this organization called Lunar Foundation Guard, right, or LFG for short, right? So this is a second layer of protection, right, from UST depegging. And how it does this is by lending out money, right? And the UST utility lies mainly in the Anchor protocol, a money market where you can actually borrow or lend UST, and all these help to keep its price stable, right? So how did this whole week occur? Like how did this UST just unravel? With all safeguards in place, it just collapsed within just a few days this week, right? So how did that happen? Right? This all started with just two large transactions, right? That actually sold UST in the open market, right? So here's the Twitter post that actually summarizes these two large transactions, right? And let's go through in detail, right? The first large transaction, right, of US dollar 150 million, right, was actually made by their lab itself, right, Terraform Lab, and this was used to actually deploy into a new pool, right? But this also, right, caused a reduction of liquidity in Curve, right, which is a stablecoin trading platform, right? And the second transaction, right, was a bit iffy, right? Because it was an unknown, right? As of now, it's still unknown, right? An unknown actor actually tried to take advantage of this reduced liquidity that they saw, and he made a large transaction as well, right? Of 84 million, right? And what he did was actually to sell UST for Ethereum, right? So some call it a conspiracy theory, some people call it a concerted attack, right? But whatever it is, right, this is something that happened, right? We don't know for sure why did this happen, but it did happen, and this actually kind of destabilized UST, right? Some people, they might be trying to profit from this instance, right? So basic demand and supply, right? If supply exceed demand, right, there would be a downward pressure on price, right? So all these, right, suddenly these two large transactions were made. This suddenly caused the supply of UST to suddenly surge up very tremendously, right? And with that, right, with the supply suddenly surging up so tremendously, right, the UST drop, UST price actually dropped as well, right? So, that's why I mentioned, that LFG, right, that foundation, that safeguard was supposed to kick in, right? It did kick in, right? It did kick in, but it was still fruitless, right? The UST actually still dropped to at that time 0.99, so it actually lost its peg slightly. Right, and with that, right, actually this caused panic, right, in the whole market, right. So some people I say it's a FUD, right, or otherwise known as fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right. It caused this fear, right, or uncertainty, and that that the whole cryptocurrency market might be collapsing, right. So people start to sell off, one person sell off more, and then spark another wave for selling with more people, and then this just spiraled out of control. Right. So in fact, after that, many people started liquidating their UST, right, from Anchor protocol or pulling out from Luna, right. So all these just exacerbated things further, right, worsened things further. The supply of UST just surged even more. All these just caused the price to just nosedive all the way down. Right. So there is also that macroeconomic factor as a backdrop, right, with the Fed interest rate, the inflation, the sky high inflation rate. So all these also led to cryptocurrency across the board dropping by more than 10% in price. Right. So if this continues, right, if so now they are talking about getting money, right, to cover this sell off, right. If the LFG does not have enough money to cover, right, UST and Luna could potentially drop zero, right. So we shall see, right, whether they are indeed able to raise money, right, to cover this sell off, right. Right, if LSG, right, and the crypto market buys enough UST, right, the supply can equilibrate back and the UST peg can be restored. But this seems pretty far from now, right, because UST is trading so much lower than the peg value now, right. So this might not really occur, right, but we shall see how it goes, right, what they actually have in store, right, what is their plan, right, with this after this 1 week of mayhem, right? Right. So that's another brief overview, right, to summarize the events surrounding the crypto collapse this week, right? And before I move to the next section, right, if you're enjoying the section, the sharing so far, right, don't forget to hit that like or love button, right, so that I know that you are enjoying it and finding value so far. Right, and this juncture, right, I think it's a good time, right, to actually invite our special guest tonight, right, Financial Missy, right, to actually, talk a little bit more, right, on her own experience and her take, right, of the current crypto collapse, right. So let's, invite Isabella or Financial Missy, to share with us, right, on her thoughts of the events surrounding this week. Yep. Hi, Financial Missy.
Hey guys! Nice meeting you guys here on a Sunday evening. I guess most of you should have been pretty familiar with me already, but just in case you guys forgotten about me, I didn't prepare a slide for myself to introduce myself, but nevertheless, yeah, just to short introduction that if you guys remember me, it's the long hair. I just recently cut my hair, so it's much shorter, but it's still the same person. Financial Missy here, also known as Isabella. A short introduction of myself is I am a nurse turned investor within the past 10 years, somebody who grew my portfolio from 3 digits to 6 digits. Pretty much DIY and yeah, pretty much DIY and with a small amount of capital started out since when I was still in university. So pretty excited to be here, invited by the Trade Engineer to share with you guys my take on the cryptocurrency market the last week. All right, so without further ado, I feel that cryptocurrency itself, although it's something that is very volatile, very pretty much speculative, but it is also something that has been pretty much widely adopted by pretty many institutions already. So if you were to ask me what is my take on a cryptocurrency, I would actually feel that it is actually here to stay for the long run. But I need a disclaimer, yeah. But it really depends on what coins that you are looking at. All right. So if you go to coin market cap. I mean, if you guys are already investors of crypto, you probably should know about this website called the Coin Market Cap, whereby it listed lots of different kind of coins that is being listed on this platform. You could have known that there's already many coins, and how do you actually know whether the coin is worth investing in? Is by actually going into it, looking at the overview to really understand what does the coin does. Is there any utility for this particular coin, or is it a speculative coin, right? So for you guys who already know me, I'm pretty much an investor. My main forte is in stocks, but I do cryptocurrency as well, and I love it, right? So when it comes to cryptocurrency, I like to only invest in those that's real value, because I know that in the long run it's going to stay, it's going, many people will start adopting it, and this is how the currency runs. So well, if you guys are actually wonder whether I have any any Luna, yeah, unfortunately I do not know that I do not. Reason being is that when the whole Luna situation get exploded, then I was told that this coin is worth like 2 cents, and I was like, is it time to enter? Because a lot of people are talking about it, and there are also news that some people decides to enter this particular coin to see whether it will run. So I kind of went to Coin Market Cap to take a look at it, and I was like, okay. So it's the issue now is very big. The whole UST is actually run based on the algorithm, and now the whole algorithm is actually in the mess, and the coin from something that is very high, it goes all the way devalue until 2 cents, right? And I was thinking, is it even worth putting in like maybe $1, $10, $100 to see whether it will run? If it does run, then good for me. If it doesn't run, then how much am I losing after all, right? $100, $10, $1. But after I read the whole thing, right, I was like, nah. So what the story behind it, that why I want to share with you guys, is that when you see a situation that pops out, you know that there's actually a fundamental that's already being affected already, right? Do not go in to catch on the falling knife, because as something that I always say to my followers is that what goes lower can go lower, what goes higher can go higher, and most importantly, what you want to actually achieve, right, is that you want to catch the turning point instead of trying so hard to catch the bottom, because where is the bottom? Nobody knows. Right, correct me if I'm wrong. Nobody knows where's the bottom. As long as you see a fundamental change, you wait and see. It's okay not to catch the bottom, but most importantly, you want to catch the turning point whereby it goes upwards, and how we can actually profit from this. What is already on the upwards momentum, we will tend to go higher upwards, right? So guys, when it comes to crypto, there's a lot of volatility over there as well. With any volatility, please do your own due diligence to actually really understand the fundamentals, then look at whether it's something that of your comfort level. But of course, please do your own financial risk management as well, because why? After this whole Luna situation, I kind of read a lot of kind of negative news articles that I've actually seen, and I'm pretty much concerned about how people actually go all in, or go beyond their means. So guys out there, if you guys are feeling stressed about the stock market, feeling stressed about cryptocurrency, please use some time to actually review your portfolio to see whether the risk management is actually something that's accepted or within your comfort level, something that I cannot stress more. And I hope that my short little sharing will actually help to give you guys a bit of a moral booster, or rather a fundamental to see whether I can whether I'm helping you guys to actually build on the basic fundamentals of cryptocurrency as well. So I'm not sure whether I answered your question, the trade engineer. Do let me know if there's anything that I should add for the community as well.
Yes, I think you have covered the essential points, but I think a lot of you guys might I think there's a lot of words of wisdom from you from financial Missy, right? I think first of all, right, we shouldn't catch a falling knife, right? What it goes lower can go lower, right? I think that is very important, right? Because many a times, right, some of us we think, oh, it's a good deal, right? It's a bargain, right? And we enter only for it to go lower, right? And we're basically stuck there, right? And for where we can actually put our money, right, to better use in another coin, right, or another instrument, right. So that is something I think we need to be very aware about, right. The low can get lower, right, and in these times of market volatility, right, we do need to practice risk management, right. Yeah, so if you can't sleep at night, right, because of your portfolio, right, then it's high time that is to review your portfolio, right, to de-risk some of your the more risky portions, right. You might be over leveraging, or you might be over invested, right. So we all want to sleep well at night, right. We don't want to overly worry about our portfolio, right. So this our investing or trading journey is supposed to be to bring us passive income, right? Not bring us massive losses, right? So yeah, though these are very words of wisdom from Nash and Missy, and I think before we end off, right? Maybe that invite Financial Missy to maybe share, or summarize, right? Something for all the entire audience to take away, right? For this entire week.
You mean like a summary of for the next week or the past week?
Okay, maybe how do I put it? Maybe for both of them, right? For the past week, right? So how with the past week, right? The past events, right? What is the takeaway? And with this at the backdrop, what are your views? Moving forward, right? For cryptocurrency, right? Should for investors or traders out there, should they start selling all their coins, or hold on to the stronger coins, and ride the wave, right? Because it might actually reach newer highs in time to come.
All right. Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. So
Yep.
okay. So for myself, simply put, because I'm an investor, I do believe in cryptocurrency, but for the bigger coins that has utility in it. So for you guys out there, if you guys are really in cryptocurrency, do evaluate your portfolio to see whether you really have the conviction and confidence in the particular coin and its utility. If it's something that's is out of your comfort zone, then I would suggest that you actually review whether you want to continue keep it to see whether you can reach new heights, because I believe that most of us, you, me included, I believe, I'm not sure about the trade engineer, but I believe he's also included, that all our portfolios are down. The the recent drop in cryptocurrency, I don't think majority of us are spared. So just rest assured, if you guys are really confident and convicted with your portfolio, then stay as it is. If otherwise you want to actually review to see whether it's really worth keeping. For myself, am I looking at selling any cryptocurrencies, any coins right now to loosen my portfolio? To resolve this curiosity is No, because I'm really I'm convicted with what I actually have that it will go to a higher heights. So most importantly for the past event is you need to be comfortable and convicted with what you already have. All right, do not catch a falling knife. That's very important. Moving ahead, I would personally expect more volatility in the cryptocurrency market as well. I would believe that the volatility might be huge because of the economy, as what the trade engineer mentioned that there is actually more of a correlation with the stock market nowadays, and the economy moving forward is really going to be pretty much of a question mark. So I would highly suggest people who are actually looking at investing to, number one, do proper portfolio risk management. Number two is, at this particular point in time, instead of catching the falling knife, prepare your cash reserve, all right, to take on opportunity that is coming up soon. How soon? Nobody knows. But be patient. Be patient in this investing journey. Most importantly, is we want to be patient and not be irrational in an irrational market. Right. So that's my take. I hope that I actually make sense. I don't know.
Right. Yes, yes, a very important point, right? Don't let our emotions get the better of us, right? So we want to trade with reason, right? We trade rationally or invest rationally, right? Stick with the plan, right? And don't deviate from plan, or don't let your emotions get the better of you, right? Because once that happens, right, that is no different from gambling, right? And you don't
Yeah.
want to be gambling, right? So yeah, I think that is a very important takeaway. Right? I hope everyone bear that in mind, right? Especially with the higher market volatility that might be yet to come, right? In the the coming weeks or months ahead, right? So brace ourselves, everyone, right? Be prepared for the worst, right? And if we actually continue to stick with the plan, trade or invest rationally, right? We can emerge stronger, right? And we can ride through this wave, right? In fact, this particular volatility might also present opportunities for all of us, right? Whether we are investors or traders, right? So do keep an eye out as well, right? During these volatile times, right? There could be an opportunity that you don't want to miss out on. All right, thanks, Financial Missy, right, for your insightful sharing tonight, right, and I hope all of you have gleaned something right useful from Financial Missy. All right, and let's move on, right, and but before we do, right, if all of you have enjoyed the sharing by Financial Missy, right, don't forget to give this video a like or a love, right, or even a share, right, so that other people might benefit, right, from her sharing tonight. All right, and now let's move on, on to talk about what's next, right? What's next for the cryptocurrency market, right? I'm sure all of you are curious to find out, and let's delve into that in detail right now. Right, but before I do so, right, just a quick recap, right, of what I've mentioned, last week for some of the things to watch out for Bitcoins, right, based on my technical analysis, right. So if you haven't watched it already, you can catch my last week video, right, or you can catch it, the 5 things, right, on my TikTok channel as well. So let's quickly go through this, what I've mentioned here. Right, so in last week video, right, I mentioned about these 5 things, right. The first of all on the daily chart is this first horizontal support, right, and as you all know, right, I think this first horizontal support was already broken, right. Yep, so but it was the first horizontal support back then, right, and we also mentioned other horizontal support to look out for, right, if that first horizontal support actually breaks down, right, and let's see whether what happened this week, right. I think you all know that these two also broke down, right. Right, and if there's upside, right, we could be looking at these resistance levels, right? But of course, last week we didn't, see this at all, right? downtrend line, right? It is still trading below this downtrend line and more so this week as well. And last but not least, right, the fifth thing was the daily MACD, which got more negative at the end of last week, right? So we wanted to see whether this will actually persist, right? So let's take a look, right? With these five things in the backdrop in our minds, right? Let's take a look at what happened for this, this week, right? For Bitcoin. Yep. So why I'm going through in such detail for Bitcoin is, Bitcoin is actually like the so-called market, the highest market capitalization, right, for the whole cryptocurrency, right? So this offers some insight, right, into the whole cryptocurrency market, right? So knowing Bitcoin will also influence the prices of other coins to a fairly large extent. So let's look at some of the indicators, right, for Bitcoin, right, with the prices, price action this week. Right, so this is the first horizontal support, right, that we drew in last week, right, the same horizontal support, 34,300, 34,400. And as you can see, right, it on the very first day, right, on 9th of May, Monday, it broke below, and ever since then, it has traded below this first horizontal support, right? So it wasn't supported at all, right, in conclusion. Right, and the other two horizontal support, right, it was drawn last week, 32,800, 33,000 for second horizontal support, as well as 31,000, right, 100 to 31,300 was also broken, right, these two levels also broken, right, with the strong bearish momentum this week. Downtrend line, right, it's continued to trade below this downtrend line for this week, right, no difference to that. In daily MACD, it just continued to be more negative, right? We saw the end of the week, it started to turn a bit more negative, and it just became even more negative for this week. Right, so last week, right, we had this suggested trading plan, right, where we saw that there could be potential for long or short entries, right. For long side of things, right, which is basically to buy at a low price and sell at a high price, right. We could enter, right, if we have to see that first horizontal support, whether it holds convincingly, right, and whether the MACD becomes positive, right. If it does, right, we could enter a long position, right, and we could even add long position if they are broken, right, the downtrend line or the horizontal resistance level. But on the short side of things, right, which is to sell first and buy back later, right, this is a trading way of doing it, right. We could enter a short position if that first horizontal support is broken convincingly, right, and or the MACD actually becomes negative, and take profit at the second and third horizontal support levels, right. What happened, right? You can see that with the price action last week, right, we actually took a short entry, right? Because on the very first day, 9th May, we already saw that convincing breakdown of that first horizontal support, right, about 34,200, right? And before the trading plan, right, and take profit, at 33,000 and 31,300, we could have, gained, 3.5% and 8.5% in just one single day, right, on that 9th of May. Right, it actually fell lower than that, right? So if you actually held on, you could have earned more money, right? If you actually held the short position longer, right, and buy back at an even lower price, right? But if not, right, you could have gained this amount of money and you could have made yourself some cool profits in just one single day, right? But with that being said, right, with the Bitcoin falling to such low levels, even below $30,000, right, what does the future hold, right? That's, I think, what's on everyone's mind right now, right? While I've got no crystal ball, right, I'll attempt to look at this from a technical point of view, right? But before we delve deeper, right, do give this video a like and love, right, if you're enjoying the sharing so far. Right, and let's move on to the details, right, of what's going to happen next for Bitcoin. So over here, right, I've given, I provided the more holistic chart, like on a bigger time scale, right, is on the weekly time scale, right, weekly time scale. So to see the Bitcoin on a bigger picture, right, right, so it's on a longer term basis, right. So for those of you who are investors, right, you might be more interested in this, right, because this actually shows Bitcoin on a longer term basis. So first of all, right, to say that this particular drop in Bitcoin was a long time coming, right? It's, there are actually signs, way back, way before, right? You can see that, before that, right, quite some time ago, we already saw some kind of bearish divergence, right, on the weekly chart, right, where we saw price making a higher high, right, and RSI making a lower high, right? And ever since then, it corrected down, right, and the confirmation was just, last week, or rather this week, right, where it actually fell below this support line, right, a bit slightly, right. So if this continue to persist, right, if it continues to fall below this support line, right, it could fall down even further, right, because there could be that bearish momentum that would take place, right. This was, the first indicator, right, at that time that, spelled some signs that, things might be going downhill, right, for Bitcoin, right, at this point, at this juncture. Right, and this is the second confirmation, right, for the first horizontal support on the weekly chart, about 28,900. So this is an important level to watch out for, right? You can see that it has slightly crossed below this level, right, on the weekly chart, right? So we do have to watch out for this level and see whether this, prices continue to fall below this level. It is, somewhat testing this level now, right? You can see that the current price, as of yesterday was about 28,800 plus, right? So it's close to this level, right? It's testing this level now. So if we do see a sustained breakdown of this level, right, it could be the confirmation that, there could be a new trend, right, for Bitcoin. It might be falling down in the mid to long term, right? But if it reclaims this support, right, if it reclaims this level, right, there could be a bounce back up, right? So we do need to watch this level and see how the price action plays out. Right, so if that first horizontal support breaks down, right, there could be a far way, right, a long way that the Bitcoin can fall down to, right? So based on this chart, right, you can see that, the second horizontal support is actually even below 20,000, right? It's about 19,800 to 19,900. And if that fears to hold as well, right, we could be looking at Bitcoin going back to 12,300 to 12,400. Right, so these are some of the levels to watch out for. Like this third horizontal support is primarily the resistance level previously, like many years ago, if you still remember, when Bitcoin was still trading in tens of thousands. So this is the levels to watch out for, right? If you see that bearish momentum continue to take place and the first horizontal support continue to break convincingly. Right. And with that being said, let's look at a shorter term, like a more shorter term, right, on the daily chart, right? So the daily chart, right, I've drawn a few lines here, right? So it is, the more immediate support, more immediate horizontal support, right, on the daily chart, right? That you might want to watch out for if you are looking more on a short term basis, right? So here are different levels. The first horizontal support about 27,800, right? Second horizontal support is about 26,400, 26,500, and the third horizontal support is about 24,300 to 24,500. Right. So if you are more short term in nature, like these are some of the support levels to watch out for. If there's actually further downside. Right, but if there's a bounce, right, if there's going to be a bounce back up, right, that you could be watching out for all these resistance level, right. So the first horizontal resistance is used to be that support, right, previously at about 34,100 to 34,300, right. So that was the previous support that we mentioned previously, right. Now it's become the first resistance, right, and the second horizontal resistance will be the previous support as well, right, here as well, at about 37,400 to 37,500. So if Bitcoin sees a bounce, right, and it goes back up, right, we could be watching out for these horizontal resistance levels, right? And if this actually breaks out as well, right, we could see further upside, right? If not, right, this could be also be a point where you might want to take a short entry for those of you who are traders, right? Because if there's strong resistance, right, it could present a good opportunity to do a short trade. Right, in a downtrend line, right? So at some moment, right, prices are still trading below that downtrend line, right? And very much so in recent times, right? Eventually, right, if there's greater upside, we do have to see this breakout, right? break beyond that downtrend line. If not, right, this could just be a resistance line, just like the horizontal resistance, right, where the price hits it and breaks down, right? So we can see here, right, numerous times it hits it, breaks, come down, hits it, and breaks down, right? So so let's see what happened in time to come. Like as of now, this downtrend line seems to be quite a strong resistance level as well. But one thing to note, right, there could be some short-term bounce, right, with the RSI and the daily chart, crossing into the oversold region recently, right? So that's something that could see buyers coming in to support this stock at least in the short term, right? So that's something to take note of, in the back of our minds. And the RSI, right? So yes, last week we mentioned the RSI has turned slightly negative, even more so this week, right? It was very much negative this week. But something positive that we see, right, is that the gap of the negative gap is actually narrowing at the tail end here, right? So that is something positive. And if the gap continues to narrow, there could be a strong chance that there could be a short-term bounce, right? If not, if it turns more negative, there could be more bearish momentum again, right? So we do have to watch out for the MACD as well. So here is some of my own suggestions, right? On this note, right, just have to point out, this is just my own suggestions once again, right? Do take it a pinch of salt and do your own due diligence, right? So with the market volatility, there is potential, to do both a short and long entry, right? But we do have to see how it plays out, right? So in this case, right, we do have to watch out for that first horizontal support, right, on the daily chart, about 27,800, and see whether that actually holds convincingly, as well as observe whether the MACD gap actually becomes more negative or less negative, right? So if the support holds convincingly and the MACD gap becomes less negative, there's an opportunity to go for a long position, right? And basically buy Bitcoin, right, and so sell for higher price, right? And we can take profit, right, at either the horizontal resistance level or downtrend line. And if that's broken, we can even add positions, right? But on the short side of things, right, if the bearish momentum continues, right, how we can actually enter a short entry, and that the confirmation will be that first horizontal support, right, breaking convincingly, and or the MACD actually becoming more negative, right? And we can take profit at the second and third horizontal support levels, right? But on this note, like I'd like to point out, right, as we saw in the weekly chart, right, that first horizontal support at 28,900, right, is the key level to watch out for. Right, if that level is broken convincingly, right, there could be further downward pressure and bearish momentum for Bitcoin, right? So that is something to take note of on the larger scale of things, right? And because that is on the long term. So if there's any bounce, it could be on the short term, right? But on the longer term basis, if this is broken convincingly, we could see further downward pressure and bearish momentum, right? Right, and that's a quick summary, right? A quick summary of my analysis for Bitcoin, right? I hope that is useful for all of you. And if you have found value, right? If you have found value from this, right? Don't forget to give this video a like or a love once again. Right, and before I end off, right, I'd like to share a few things, right? So first of all, right, for this, I've been sharing this link for the past few sessions, right? But the market volatility is still very apparent, and I'm sure some of you are tuning in for the very first well, right? So I would like to share this once again, right? If you haven't downloaded this already, right, you can go on down to my store and download these 7 steps on how to weather market volatility, right? I'll paste this link later after this video ends, right? So that all of you will have will be able to access this particular guide, right? So it's absolutely free, right? And you can download it as and when you like. Yep. Additionally, right, for those who are joining me for the first time, right, you can also head on down to my Facebook group, right, where I'll be sharing, in my Facebook group, I'll be sharing a lot of other things, right, such as stocks, futures, and anything related to trading, right. So you can, join me, right, on this using this handle down here, right. Do remember to answer the membership questions before applying. And last but not least, right, you can follow me on my social media pages if you haven't done so already, right? My Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok pages, right? You can follow me there. And before I end off the session for tonight, right, if you like my sharing, don't forget to hit that like or love button, right? As well as leave a comment, right, to share, what your thoughts, right, on this week, right, and or any other thing, right, that you'd like to share with us, right? And if you have any questions, you can also leave it in the comments, and once I see, I'll reply to it as well. Right. So with that, I hope all of you have gleaned something very meaningful this evening. Right. Stay safe, everyone. Right, because the increased market volatility. We do have to be very cautious, right, of our positions. Right, don't want to overtrade, overinvest, and end up losing more money. Right. So we do want to stay safe. We still want to after all, everyone's here to make passive income. Right. But you don't want to lose excessive amount of money. Right. So please be safe, please trade wisely, please invest wisely, and do your own due diligence at all times, right? Don't chase the market and don't let the emotions get the better of you, right? Before I end off, maybe I'd like to invite Financial Missy once again to give some concluding remarks if she has any.
Right. So for myself wise, I really wish you guys all the best. Just remember one thing is that in investing, we are all in the same boat where we want to make massive passive income. So most importantly is risk management. That's most important that I cannot emphasize more. And also that you want to actually, be patient in the market as well. All right. So this is something that I really want to ensure you guys that if you have the confidence and the conviction in whatever you are doing, stay with your strategy. Don't let your emotion rule you because the stock market is structured in such a way where it transfers wealth from the impatient to the patient people. Right, guys? So be safe out there. If you guys are feeling, anxious about your current portfolio or what's not, feel free to talk to us. My Facebook handle is actually Financial Missy. Do just drop me a text or something. I welcome suggestions or conversations. So yeah, we won't bite. So just drop us a text anytime and we will see how we can help you guys in your journey. Most important is don't lose hope in the market, don't lose hope in cryptocurrency, and stay safe, guys.
Yes, well, that is another word of wisdom from Financial Missy, right? Yep. So yeah, I think Financial Missy, maybe you would like to add your Facebook handle in the comments so that
Oh,
those of you guys right who don't know how to follow her, yeah, you can click on her handle right in the Facebook comments, right, and you can follow her on her Facebook page as well. Right. And with that, right, I hope everyone has gleaned something useful, meaningful out of this session. And we'll see you again, right, next week, right, same timing at 9:30 p.m. for another episode of Crypto Watch. Till then, see you guys. Take care and have a good evening. Good night,
see ya.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.